Hello, it's me again. And today we're going to be making a super pink, super flowery house in vanilla Minecraft. It's inspired by this Sims 4 build that I found on Pinterest. I honestly think this is one of my prettiest builds to date, and it was also really enjoyable to make. Many aspects of this build were also really repetitive, so I'd say it's quite beginner friendly as well. But yeah, without any further delay, let's get on with the build. First things first, here are the dimensions. The purple and yellow line shows us where the walls are going to go, the red dots are for the framework, and the blue part represents the stone foundations. So just starting off with some andesite, we're going ahead and building all the way around that blue section, and we want to make it up to 2 blocks high in total. I want to apologise in advance. I think I must have filmed this while half asleep because I made so many mistakes during recording and had to just kind of cut them out, and my editing isn't the best yet. So yeah, sorry for all the jump cuts. Then 1 block in, we're going to go all the way around again, just because we're going to be replacing some of the outermost blocks on the bottom row, and we don't want to see underneath the foundations. And once that's all done, we can just go ahead and start filling the top layer on in. And here's how our foundation should be looking. Next, we're going to go all the way around the edge and just replace a few of the andesite blocks with some stone bricks. And to give the foundations a little bit of a cracked and unkept look, we're going to replace a few blocks with some stairs. I personally just went with some andesite stairs and some stone brick stairs, but obviously you could use some mossy stone brick stairs as well. I think that could look really cool. And because once I'd finished I had a few colourful blocks sticking out, I just replaced them with some grass blocks. And here's how the foundations look, all finished. Now it's time to move on to the framework. Now is probably the time that I'd recommend you skip back and maybe take a screenshot of the dimensions at the start of the video, because we're going to be placing down a strip spruce block where all of the red blocks were, just in order to mark out where the framework's going to go. And here's how that should be looking. From there, we're going to go ahead and build up all of those spruce logs to be 5 blocks in height. And once you're all finished building up the pillars, we're going to go ahead and join them all together on that top 5th block using the stripped spruce wood. And here's how we're looking up to now. I know it looks nothing like a house so far, but stick with me, we'll get there. Starting on our walls now, we're going to be moving 1 block in from where the framework is, and we're going to be building all the way around using some mushroom stem, and we're only going to be building this up to 4 blocks in height. I think I've mentioned this before, but I have such a love-hate relationship with mushroom stem. Like, it looks really pretty, but let's say you misplace a block and then have to delete it and replace it, you end up with that kind of beige coloured spongy stuff, which, don't get me wrong, is nice in itself, but it's not the look I'm going for. And when I'm building, especially when I'm tired, I end up misplacing so many blocks and have to do so much replacing. And thinking about it now, that isn't really much of a hardship, that might just be my laziness talking. But long story short, I find it very inconvenient. But anyway, once the walls are all finished, we're going to go ahead and start chopping out where we want our windows to go. And you can see here, whenever I chop out the window, I have to replace all of the surrounding blocks, just to kind of get rid of the spongy beige stuff. And now that's all done, we're going to go ahead and make a start on the roof. So using some mud bricks, we're going to go 1 block up and 1 block out from where the framework is. And as you can see for this first part, we're actually starting 2 blocks behind where the framework is. And we're also missing out that huge chunk on the left-hand side, and you'll see why that is later. We're also going to leave a gap over on the right-hand side too, and then we're going to join our way back to the front. From there, we're going to make a start on our larger roof arches on the left and right hand side, and the pattern for those goes as follows: upside down stair, stair, upside down stair, block, stair, upside down stair, block, stair, upside down stair, stair, upside down stair, stair, upside down stair, stair. That was an absolute mouthful. I'm so sorry if that didn't make too much sense. However, there is a full roof tutorial over on my TikTok page. I'll pop the link in my bio. But yeah, we repeat that pattern over on the other side and then join it together with 2 blocks and an upside down stair. We'll then repeat that exact same thing over on the other side of the build, and we'll be completing a smaller scaled down version of that on the front. Like I mentioned earlier, for this front roof arch, we're just going to be doing a smaller version of the larger 2, and the pattern goes as follows: upside down stair, stair, upside down stair, block, stair, upside down stair, block, stair, upside down stair, stair. Then repeat it on the other side and join it together with 2 blocks and an upside down stair. And here's how we're looking so far. I think we're really starting to see the house take shape. Now it's time to make a start on filling in the roof. For that, we're going to be using magenta terracotta, pink terracotta, and also some cherry wood. The first thing I like to do when mapping out my roofs is to place down a block on every upside down stair and whole block on the roof arch, just so that when I start filling it in, I know what colours I need to be using where, and so I don't get all muddled up when I'm joining everything together. Once you've finished outlining the roof arches, you can go ahead and start filling the roof on in. The first 2 layers are going to be done with the magenta terracotta, the next 3 layers will be with the pink terracotta, and the final parts will be done in cherry wood. And once the roof is all filled in, we're going to go ahead and do alternating mud bricks and mud brick half slabs to the tops of the roof. And once that's all done, it's time we make a start on cleaning the inside of the build up. So first things first, I'm just blocking off this front part of the build because this is going to act as a balcony area. We're then going to build around where the mushroom stem wall ends with some spruce logs. And this is kind of more of a style thing. I just like to do it for if I decide that I want to decorate the inside of the build. It kind of creates a divide between an upstairs and a downstairs area. We're also going to block off this area on the left hand side here, just because we're going to be adding an extra little bit of roof over that side. That's not the greatest explanation, but you'll see what I mean later on. And from there, we're just going to go ahead and build up all the way until we meet the roof with the mushroom stem. Once we're all done, we're going to go ahead and start on this little side bit of roof here. As always, we're starting 1 block up and 1 block out from the framework, and from there we're going to be using some mud brick half slabs, mud brick stairs, and some mud bricks just to build our way all the way until we meet the roof frame. And to the bottom of this part, I'm going to be adding some alternating half slabs just to add in a little bit more texture. And then just like we did with the main bit of the roof, we're just going to go ahead and fill it in with the magenta terracotta, the pink terracotta, and some cherry wood. finally just tidying up any little messy corners. Here I am now just going ahead and chopping out all of my windows. For this large window here, I decided to go with the plus sign shape that I always do, and then filled it in with some pink and white stained glass to make a flower shape. This front part isn't actually going to be a window, it's going to be an entrance onto the balcony, so I'm just cutting out like a sort of square shape with a little bit extra cut out on top. I don't really know what you'd call it. And we're just having a tiny 1-block window on this last part here. I'm also then going to go ahead and fill in all of my windows just with some white stained glass. And this part's totally optional, but to the front bit where the balcony is going to be, I just took away those 2 blocks in the corners and replaced them with stairs. And here's how we're looking. Now it's time to move on to the decorations. Starting on the left hand side of the build, I'm just placing down a leaf block in all of the corners and surrounding those with some stairs, placing a block down in the top, and there we have a heart-shaped window. And then for this top section up here, we're going to place down some azalea leaves, pop a trapdoor at each end, and then place some signs over the front to sort of give the effect of an overgrown plant pot. For the doorway, I'm as always going to round off the corners of the framework and place down some trapdoors. To the gap at the top, I've placed down a spore blossom. I absolutely love these and the petals that they give off. And just for a little bit of extra something to this top section here, I'm adding in loads of cherry leaves and some azalea leaves as well, because if you couldn't already tell, I absolutely love the overgrown plant look. And of course, we've got to add in some more potted plants. It really wouldn't be one of my builds without an obnoxious amount of flowers. Over to this 4x4 window space now. I'm of course going to start off by rounding off the edges, adding in some lanterns, and I'm actually adding a chain to one of the lanterns to create a sort of staggered effect. Then I'm just going to place down some azalea leaves and some half slabs to create a window bay. I'm sure you would have never guessed, but for this window here, we're also going to round off the corners. And just like the last window space, we're also going to add in some leaves and a half slab to make another windowsill. And I'm also going to add in a lantern and some potted plants too. And then I'm never entirely sure on what to do for these 2-block spaces, so I usually just go for something inspired by a design I saw on Pinterest a really long time ago. So full credits to the person who did that first. And here's how these decorations look all together. I think this bit looks super cute. Moving swiftly onto our balcony area, I decided not to go for anything too fancy or extravagant here, so I just decided to pop down a few potted plants. And whenever I'm doing pink builds, my go-to flowers are always the cherry saplings and pink tulips. Oh, and with the fence, I decided to go with alternating fence posts and fence gates. I just really like the look of it. Then, of course, we're going to add in some more flowers, we're going to add in a spore blossom, and some hanging plants as well. For the window space underneath the balcony, we're just going to be creating another heart-shaped window like we did at the start of the decorating process. These 2 little sections here are almost exactly the same as on the other side. The only difference being right here, instead of having a peony, we're going to create a tall plant using a dead bush and an azalea leaf. And for this last little section here, we are once again doing a heart-shaped window. I absolutely love doing these at the moment. And if you feel as though you need a little bit more of an in-depth explanation as to how I do my windows, there is one over on my TikTok. And any other little gaps, I'm just filling in with some more flowers and lanterns. For this top section here, I'm going for some azalea leaves in each corner and then rounding those off with some stairs. Then obviously more plants. Who do you think I am? I am, in fact, the Minecraft crazy plant lady. The day I don't absolutely smother one of my builds in plants is the day you should probably be concerned. And here's how we are looking. I think the build's really starting to come along now. Just time to add in the last few details. As this house is on a platform, I thought it'd probably be best to add some stairs leading up to it. So I just went in with the stripped spruce logs that we used in the framework. And I really like using half slabs for my staircases sometimes, just because you can extend them out a lot further. And for the little stairs part, I'm going to be doing a checkerboard pattern with some cherry wood and some crimson wood as well, because it sort of matches the roof. Then for this stone patio section, is it a patio? I'm really not sure, but that's what we're going to go with. We're of course going to start with some fences around the side because we don't want anybody falling off. And just like we did next to that really small window at the start of the decorating process, I'm going to be using some azalea leaves and some signs to make an overgrown large plant pot. And of course, to the tops of all of the fence posts, I'm going to be doing an alternating pattern of a flower pot and then a lantern. I didn't record all of this part just because it would make the video very, very long, but I'm just adding in some half slabs around where the foundation is. I don't really know why I like doing this, but I think it just kind of blends the build into the surrounding area a little bit better. And like I say, I didn't show all of it in the video, but I did go the whole way around the outside of the build. And lastly, it's time to absolutely smother the floor in some plants, some flowers and some grass. Flower-wise, I just stuck with the pink tulips and I also incorporated some of the pink petals as well. Now, I didn't include all of this process either because like I say, it would be a very, very, very long video otherwise. But if you feel like you need a more in-depth tutorial on how I do all of my plants and flowers, then just let me know and I can try and make it happen in the future. That, my friends, is the pink flowery house all finished. I'm so happy with how this turned out. If you know me, pink is one of my absolute favourite colours and I will never pass up on a chance to do a pink build. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.